I will. I'm waiting for it to start. All right, let's see. Oh, there's a fly in here. No way. We got a fly swatter. That'll be the most entertaining intro to the show, is that we'll be chasing down a fly with a fly swatter. Where'd it go? I know it's here. I'm going to give everybody a... Where is it? I know there's one in there. All right, I give up already. The fly wins this round. It was somewhere. We had a fly swatter in there. We don't live in the van, so we're gonna have to see how many people tune in, because when it's not on all of the channels, it's just on the adventure, or now it's called The Longest Drive. We'll see if anybody tunes into that. If not, we'll come back and do this again on all the channels. So hello everybody, if you're watching the recorded version. You don't get a whole lot of light where you're sitting. Oh, you put it on backwards like a gangster. Put it on backwards, let's take a look at it. Let me see if you look scary. Well, then why do I have a fat face? Is that why the light's not blocking it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, there's a fly in here with us. Why would a fly think he was invited to a live stream?
Is that a notification? Somebody had to.
Well, no, apparently not. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Relative to size-wise, the following on The Longest Drive is small. So we'll give it like 5 minutes, and if we don't have anybody log in, we will just shut it off and we'll redo this and put it on. We just know that we have to put it on all the pages for a little while until we build an audience. So but then we can get more driving tonight and we can get ice cream. I can't eat ice cream now. I'll drink a protein shake. Here, if you want to record the version, here's my ice cream.
Another unpaid plug.
Premier protein. Where's the show? 30 grams. And then where does it say?
1 gram of sugar.
1 gram of sugar.
We could actually just talk about something anyway. That way we don't have to delete the recording.
Well, there's 3 people in here now. Who's in here with us? 5 people. So just so you know, all 5, I assume it means 500. We'll just say 500 people.
Maybe 1,000.
Maybe. It could be. Kissing ass. That's Pro Wrestling 101. So if you are tuning in or watching right now, we are trying something new, which is just broadcasting this just to the Longest Drive page, not across all the pages. And so we expect it to have a much smaller reach, but we're trying to see. So we have 5. So if anybody's in here, 4. And if anybody's in here, say hi. If there's not a lot of people in here, well, then we'll just...
I'll just take it that nobody's interested in me and we'll start doing it.
No. We'll just start broadcasting to all my Facebook pages and not just the Longest Drive adventure page. So we'll see how that goes. Who else is in here? Does anybody want to say hi? This is not formal. This is just us traveling, being casual, talking about being on the road.
Yeah, we literally just parked at a...
We're in Danger. No, I can tell you where we are. We're in Dangerfield, Texas.
Do you think this town gets...
Let's see. Who is this? Carrie.
Carrie from Montana.
Hello, Carrie from Montana. Oh, hello, Carrie Hayes from Montana. How are you today? We'll chat if anybody's in here. Like we said, there we don't expect there to be a lot of people because it's just the Longest Drive page, and we'll see if we can do. Like our goal is to do this type of thing, not on the disc golf pages, because it's more just about travel, nomading,
destinations.
Yeah,
how we plan
alternative lifestyles, things like that. It's not really disc golf.
Feel free to ask questions
about anything, but we will broadcast to all the channels to let people know if they want to see it to come over to the Longest Drive. But if you saw the post about if you have any questions about anything, or feel free to jump in.
Was there any engagement on that?
Well, no, because I kept trying. No, the problem with the algorithm. Oh, we are happy to share stories and experiences. Give us a direction, like give us a topic of the most this or the least likely that, or this country or that, and we probably have interesting stories to tell from that area. So please uh, give narrow down the narrow down the stories, and then I think we could probably come up with something.
So in June made officially 4 years
What did?
of us being on the road together.
Wait, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's a lot.
We didn't even do anything to celebrate our anniversary.
No,
Like
I wasn't.
travelversity.
I wasn't aware of it until right now.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about it either.
But do you do you do much traveling, Carrie, or have you? Would you like to? Anything you want to know about?
Somebody asked me about how we vet destinations. Like if we get an idea, how do we decide that that's a good idea?
I do you want me? I'll give you the same answer you will.
Can I go?
We don't.
Yeah.
We just go. We pick. Oh, I see a question came in, so I would love to. I'll answer that in a second. But so in answer to what you said, we don't vet because we don't care if it's a good experience or a bad experience.
Really, the only thing we pay attention to is if it's like on a danger list.
Yeah, and that's international travel.
Yeah.
And even then, it can be high crime if it's high theft or high petty theft, high scams, just no high violent crime. So there are places we would avoid because of that, but that's just
There's a program called the Smart Traveler something that you can get on an email based on countries that you're interested in, and you can check mark it. It's STEP if you Google Step Traveler Program. Like I just got a notification this morning from something that happened in Malaysia because I'm interested in Malaysia because we've been there and I love it. But Malaysia has two separate areas. So the main peninsula is very, very safe. The other side has Borneo attached to it, and it's a very, very unstable.
yeah.
And so recently there's been some kidnapping. So it came up on the step watch list again today.
But that's really the real vetting. So aside from that, we just want to go to someplace new. And we would rather have I'm not even, people think I'm joking. We would both prefer to have a bad experience tomorrow doing something new and different than go back to some place we've been to before that we know is going to be fun. Because that's not new.
Right.
Like all experiences are just experiences. And we want to experience everything. So we don't really vet places. Here, for example, for the last 4 years, every other day we choose a restaurant, at least probably 3 times a week, based on the name of the restaurant. We don't know the ethnicity. We don't know anything. Like so, tonight we went to a restaurant called Arnold's, and the only reason I went there is because I went, "Hey, Arnold's! That's where they used to eat it in Happy Days." I was like, "Did you watch Happy Days? Remember the restaurant they ate at Arnold's Drive-In? We're going to go to Arnold's." And by the way, we never change our mind once we get there. Like once we go, that because if we leave the room to change our mind, then we're going to be like, "Oh, I'm not really in the mood for that tonight."
Right.
So once we pull the trigger on, we're going to go there. Okay, let's check out. Carrie had a question. I have to put my glasses. We would love to raising the family and taking care of my husband's dad who is ill currently. Wish I could drop everything and just play disc golf all the time. So that's today. Like, I mean, you can. I'm not trying to project. I don't know your situation. I'm not. Please forgive me if I speak out of turn. I'm not. I'm not trying to do that. But life changes and things change, and you can you can have plans to do things in the future. And I'll tell you right now, one of the things that's really fun is if you think that in 3 years, 5 years, eight, when the kids get out of school or it doesn't matter the situation, but if there's a point where you think you might be able to, like it can be so much fun to be researching that now. Like going to websites, watching travel shows, like learning about the different places. Like if you know you're going to get to do it, then that's fun.
Right. You might even study the language or, find out about some kind of festival that you want to time your trip around when you finally go someplace.
Yeah, like we're going to be almost certainly going to go to Colombia, South America in October, I think. November, something like that. I mean, that's our plan. There's some stuff going on there. So, like, I just watched something yesterday on La Paz, Bolivia, and now I want to go to Bolivia while we're there because it's like it's close.
Well, it's the next country over.
But that's still close.
It's closer than we are right now.
You're like it's like 4 cartels, cocaine cartels away from
Yeah.
from Medellin. But but I will enjoy watching that show tonight because I'm planning on going. By the way, if I don't wind up going, it's fine. I still enjoyed watching the show, learning about La Paz. By the way, just so you know, the reason why I want to go to La Paz is it's this really like densely packed city. Um, Public transportation would be a nightmare in La Paz. So what their solution was to public transportation is they built a cable car system, like the cable cars, at ski resorts, right? Gondolas that over the city, and so you get around on cable car, like floating above the city, and they have maps of the cable cars that look like subway, just exactly like subway maps with all the destinations, the street, and it's a trip because there's some places in South America that are really rough, like rougher than I don't say not necessarily rougher than like parts of DC maybe it's but as bad.
Yeah.
But the thing that you don't have in the in East St. Louis, for example, you don't have a cable car that floats over the city where you can like look out the window and watch life in this horrible scary place.
The extra funny thing is that you're afraid of heights. So
I know, but I've never gotten to like float overneath overneath. But I've never been able to float above a neighborhood that's too dangerous to walk through. Mm-hmm. I think that sounds kind of cool.
And then if we do it enough, then you might get accustomed to it.
Hello, Amy. Good. Always good to see you guys. Hope you're doing well. Who's Meredith, by the way? Is she one of the travel people?
Meredith is a lady I met, I think, through Witchy League, I believe.
Oh, well, here, we should lean forward and so she can see you. I'm going to tilt your hat back.
Don't tilt my hat back.
I'm just tilting it back so she can see your face.
Yeah.
Hello,
Her son, Alexander, and my son, Eddie, are pretty close in age. We spent a lot of time when they were younger.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Hello, Amy. Again.
They're both grown men now. Jeez, time goes by.
That's not right. I'm going to be a grown man in a couple of years.
No.
If any y'all have any questions about, like, one of the thought, love seeing her with you. Oh, thank you. I love seeing her with me too. Hey, so because a lot of times it's not like when it's the disc golf stuff, she doesn't want to be on camera because it doesn't make sense to be.
No.
But that's your idea, but this is so here, let me tell you all the plan, and maybe you guys could help participate in this. Is that we're wanting to explore the idea of branching off with a channel that's related to traveling, but traveling with a partner. Like, this is a big challenge for a lot of people, and we have been 4 years together 24/7, like 2 feet apart from each other, and like we get along, and it's super easy and super fun. We never have any problems. And so we thought, well, maybe there's something we could share there, because a lot of people, like, here, I'll give you an example. She told me that when she was working campgrounds, when she was traveling before me, that a lot of older couples, they waited their whole life so they could retire. And then when they retired, the husband and wife, after 40 years of marriage, would get an RV together and start traveling together, and all of a sudden realized they couldn't stand being around each other.
Or that they don't really have anything in common anymore. Like, they just spent so much of their life doing things.
Well, they had
like
other
making their
lives. They
life
weren't
happen.
together 24/7, and
Yeah.
so and then we've also that, and then so many couples like we've heard them talking about. Oh my God, how do you deal with this? What do you listen to? What about when this happens? How do you deal with that? I could never. I love my wife to death, but I couldn't drive across the country with her or something. So we thought
And we've each traveled with other people.
with other people as
So
well.
we've got experience of it not going as easy. So
So we thought that would be something that we could evolve into. So if anybody has any questions related to traveling in a partnership or a couple, like we're hoping to maybe turn that into something like a regular thing, but specific to that. I mean, nomading and traveling, but specific to the dynamic and the relationship part. I would just think that there's interest. I think there's people out there that want to know. Let's see. All right. Amy says, "What's your next adventure going to be?" Well, so South America in October or November.
maybe December.
Well, I got to be there in December. There's something going on in Colombia in December, but if we're going to go, we're
We
going
want to get down there
we
early.
want to get down there early and go see stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, I'll tell you something funny. I know. So, like, we want to go to, I want to go to Patagonia. That's where I want to go more than anything, which is the southern tip of South America, which is like nearly in the Arctic or Antarctic Circle. And I want to go backpacking up in the mountains and disappear into the wilderness, which is where I like to go. And she likes to go now too. And we were like, well, we want to go to Patagonia, but there's something going on in Colombia. If we're in Colombia, we might as well go to Patagonia since we're already in South America, except that it's like 3,000 miles away from Colombia. So it's such like it seems like, well, we're in South America anyways, but we're not. We're like still.
That's like landing in New York and going,
Well, might as well hit LA, Los Angeles, as long as I'm in New York.
Right. San Francisco is just right there.
But that's the next adventure. I think as of right now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be doing the Southeast Asia circuit of tournaments because
that starts in January.
Yeah,
that,
January.
That doesn't leave us much time if we don't get to South America early.
We got to get South America early, but that's going to be playing tournaments in the Philippines, Taiwan, places I haven't played. We got to go back to Cambodia though; it's way too.
Yeah, for sure.
But
and we didn't get to their capital, so we would probably fly into the capital this time, and then take a van out to to where the course is and to Angkor again.
And there's something in Korea, South Korea, but we also I want to go to China, which is it can be hit or miss. I mean,
right, and we do have new contacts in China.
We have new contacts in China. Well, the golfers we met from China are fantastic. We've liked the people we've met there. Like, and we've met them at tournaments. They're great, and everyone says the same thing, which is it's just like anywhere else. It's like people everywhere are generally good. It's the governments that get in the way of people getting along. So they say when you get to China, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of security, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of like it can be a hassle. But once you get past that and you just get into the country with the people, it's like everybody's great, everybody's nice and friendly.
But currently, the plan is to go get you inducted into the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. That's in October.
Yes.
And then, as quickly as possible, to get to Miami, which would be the first direct flight that we can take to South America. So that'll either be directly to Colombia, or maybe if we're getting out earlier, go to the Galapagos Islands.
Easter Island.
Oh, Easter Island.
No, the reason we're going to go to Miami is because I'm afraid of flying. Like, as strange as this sounds, but I'm terrified. I hate flying. I hate everything about it. And we were talking about going to Easter Island, which is smack dab in the middle of the freaking Pacific Ocean. Like it's like 2,000 miles from South America. But I hate flying, taking off and landing. Well, I don't mind landing because it's about to be over with, but I hate taking off. But there's one nonstop flight in the U.S. that goes from the U.S. to Easter Island, and it's from Miami. So if we go to Miami, then I only have to deal with one takeoff instead of two. And it sounds so absurd that this is like my biggest concern, but it's like by far my biggest concern. I hate flying.
Mm-hmm. We've made many decisions about where to go based on how many stops the
No, how many layovers there are. Oh no, 100%. We're gonna fly. When we flew back from Scotland to the U.S., I had to get from Scotland. I had to get to Georgia, and there were no real nonstop flights. So we flew to New York, took a train.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that bad.
But that was our first train experience in the United States, like long term, not just like a subway or something.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, but if anybody has any questions about the travel dynamic with two people traveling, like that's, I mean, I at least I think that would be interesting to people. Oh, here's some question. All right. Amy says, people think of nomad life as mainly being by yourself, but it's far from that. You mean so many people learning their cultures. I think it's so great and would love to experience it even for a short while. Yeah, I don't really think of nomading as specifically an individual activity. I think that a person that really is nomadic just has a hard time finding somebody else that's nomadic. But also, even if you find somebody else, that spirit of being nomadic and just wanting to be on the go, you don't necessarily want to go to the same place.
Well, there's also different levels of it because people travel at different rates. Like there are people who will go and spend a month or 3 months or maybe 6 months in one location. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, there's reasons to do it more slow. But there's people like us that just we're on a constant state of motion, basically. So it's just it's just different ways of doing the same thing. So finding people that are also interested in traveling at your pace is a different challenge.
Yeah, and we like doing. Okay, so because our both of our primary goals is to do things that are new, then if we haven't been there, we're both interested in that thing. So it tends to align with us. But we don't have any we don't have anything like resembling a commitment, right? Like if there was, if in October I wanted to go to Bolivia and she wanted to go to Peru, like there's nothing stopping us from doing that and then meeting up later.
Right.
And we might even each meet people to join us and travel. Like I mean, like there's nothing. So we both have that freedom of. So I think to your point, I think you're kind of right. It's just we happen to align together, but we don't force it.
Right.
For sure, I would never make her like she doesn't have to stick with me or vice versa.
Yeah, we just had that conversation again with my parents about well, why aren't you getting married? I was like, because we're not really gonna get married. Like there's no reason to be locked into like I'm gonna take a vacation from you. Like that would just make it awkward. And right now it doesn't need to be awkward. I would just go someplace or he would just choose a different path or something.
It's strange as it sounds, it's strange as it sounds. It's kind of um like oh, I thought it was really funny. So your question was, as far as a couple, what's the biggest challenge in traveling to being together 24/7? So I was gonna actually just mention that before you posted that question. We post like we're like traveling as a couple, but we're almost not a couple in a sense at the same time.
Right.
We're two individuals who are going through life side by side. And we
Or
make
as long as we
for
want that to
as
happen.
long as we want that to happen. If it changes tomorrow, it changes tomorrow. And then if she left or I went a different direction, and then we met up 6 months later and we're together again for as long as that. It's just there's no commitment there, and so. But the word couple is the best way to explain it in a thumbnail and a post. But is that fair?
Yeah.
Like we're traveling through life separately. We just happen to be on the same train.
Right.
And enjoying the ride. I mean, it's great. The As far as a couple, what's the biggest challenge in traveling and being together 24/7?
We're we just don't have a whole lot of challenges. I mean, probably for most people, they would say just finding alone time would be a thing, but we kind of exist together, but like we were saying, kind of separately because if he's in the middle of doing something for business and he needs to focus on something, I just occupy myself doing something else. I don't need constant to be interrupting him or to make sure that I'm getting attention or something like that. We just do our thing, and then when we're ready to talk to each other again and focus on what we're doing together as an activity or just a conversation we're having,
Yeah,
then the focus is on us again. Then
we both try to exist in a way where the other. Okay, this is going to sound strange, but we want to exist in a way so each of us gets to feel like we're alone.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is when you're alone, you don't worry about what you say, you don't worry about what you're doing, you don't worry about like you don't worry about anything because you're by yourself. When someone else is around, then you have all these different kind of social pressures because you're just with somebody else. And like the feeling of being able to do whatever you would do right this minute if I was alone when someone else is next to you is like it's an incredible feeling. So like if she's in the middle of something and I want to ask her a question, I don't ask her a question. I say, "Hey, let me know when you have a minute." And I'm never offended if that minute is an hour from now.
Mhm.
I'm also not offended if she forgets that I asked an hour from now because we're human. It's like there's no pressure to like get it right either, right?
Right.
Um, but she's in the middle of something. Me interrupting what she's doing doesn't make sense because it's like if you're reading a book and you're in or watching a movie, if you're into a story and you get interrupted, well, then it takes you out of the story. So then it's best to let the person stay in the story.
Right. But that also doesn't mean that we disregard the other person. So if I'm doing something that I know is going to be noisy and he's trying to sleep, I'm not going to just do what I was going to do because it's like I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
there. Like I
no,
would make sure that I'm accommodating his need to sleep also.
no. I got up
Like,
this morning 2 hours before she woke up and had work to do. So I mean, it sounds like a simple thing, but I quietly got out of bed. I went to the corner of the hotel room in a chair. I had a notepad. I left the room dark. I was using the flashlight on my notepad to look at the notepad while I'm typing things on my phone, but I'm doing it with a flashlight instead of a lamp so I don't wake her up. Now, yeah, of course, if I was alone, that's not what I would do. So yeah, it's not a matter of disregarding, it's a matter of respect.
hmm
Respecting that, so I guess there's a balance between
yeah,
it's really easy though.
yeah, it's considerate. Be just being considerate.
Like we've had people ask us, they're like, "What happens when the other person is annoying you?" And we're like,
Oh, I wouldn't do something
"I
that's
wouldn't do something that would annoy her."
annoying.
And if I did, she would say that's annoying, and I wouldn't do it. It's
Right.
not that hard. Or rather, it shouldn't be. I know it can be.
Yeah. I mean, there's personality things too that you just learn to accept. Like,
By the way, the only reason it works though is when it's reciprocated. It has to
mhm,
come both directions because, like, if I'm not going to do anything that annoys you, well, that might involve sitting in a chair with my flashlight on instead of a light. It might involve me having to go put my headphones on to watch something instead of just watching it. Right? I don't want to annoy
mhm.
you. It would wake you up. If she doesn't give me the same amount of that.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Hold on
you
a
need the
second. We
van
got a
light.
light. How do you turn it back on?
Just hit that same button that you hit
Oh,
before.
this one up
The
here?
second one's on the right. Oh, maybe the power went off on the.
Oh, hold on. There it goes.
It's that
Oh,
engine.
yeah. So anyways, it has to be reciprocated or else.
Yeah, because if one person's the only one who's
Well,
being
then you start feeling, you're
considerate,
going to feel
you feel
resentful.
taken advantage of. Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, then it's really easy to not want to try to give that back. It's almost totally reasonable to not give it back because it's like, it's not fair if it's one direction.
Right. That's just there.
Yeah, it should be easy. You have mutual respect of each other. Beautiful. I was typing that and you said respect, but that's what it is.
Mhm.
Well, okay, so it's partially respect. I'm gonna challenge you on that, or a way of thinking a little bit though. It is about respect. I'm not saying I don't respect her or vice versa, but what it is we always do what is in our own best interest. I will always do what's in my best interest, but and by the way, so will she. We're very selfish. We do what's in each of our own best interest. It's just it's in my best interest to do my part to make the environment peaceful so I can have a no stress relationship and no stress life and no stress. Well, it's not no stress life, but no stress in this.
Mhm.
Um, she also very selfishly doesn't create drama and problems because that's not in her best interest because she doesn't want to deal with it.
Mhm.
So it is respect and it is caring, but it's also simultaneously the most selfish thing you can do because you're just making things easier on yourself.
Mhm.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
So hard to communicate that idea because it sounds like so counterintuitive. Like, how is being selfish good? Like, it sounds like being selfish. No, a lot of people, when you say they're being selfish, they're not. Tammy, hello, Tammy. How are you? That's actually Tammy. We're going to be actually in Arkansas. I think Tammy is you're outside. I don't want to say where, but you're in Arkansas. So, good. Like we're nice to see you. Yeah. No, it's Yeah. I don't know. I think I summed that up. Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, we think, and by the way, this has to do with a lot of ways we work on our business together too. Is that people don't do what's in their best interest. We see this a lot with couples who are. We see one member of the couple not doing what's in the best interest of the business, which might primarily be run by one person. But if you're a couple, say you're a married couple, and one person's running the business, the success of that business leads to the success for the relationship, both individuals, potentially the children, right? So, what's in your best interest is to do what's best for your business, which might feel like, well, that's their business, and now I'm just subjugated to like supporting them, and people find that that's somehow distasteful or something, and it doesn't make sense because you should be doing what's in your best interest. So I'll give you an example of just a story that happened like a couple weeks ago. We went out to dinner with this person, and he was going to. We said, and by the way, we went out to talk business. It had to do with he wanted to do business with us, and we met up, and he was going to have his wife meet us. So I said, hey, well, just, you should tell your wife to join us because it's social as well, but we're going to possibly do business. And apparently so I don't know what happened. He couldn't get through to her, so he went ahead and ordered or something. And anyway, she comes into the restaurant, walks up to our table, and just throws a fit at him, right? Because somehow she'd been like he ordered before she got there or something like that. Like and it was just I mean it was clearly like this honest mistake, but that's not even relevant. What matters is like we didn't blame him for it, but we're like we're not going to do business with him because that comes with the package, right? That comes with the package. The drama, there's going to be drama because something comes with the package that we don't need to deal with. And someone's going to not make good business decisions in this partnership because they're dealing with something that's affecting those decisions. And it's all because that person didn't do what's in their best interest. Because what was in their best interest was to show up and say, oh no, don't worry about it. No problem. It'd be as nice and as pleasant as can be so he could do business with us. Now, the minute they get out to the car, she could chew his ass out for whatever reason, and maybe she's right.
Mhm.
But we shouldn't have seen that. That was not in her best interest to make us not want to work with him.
Mhm.
She needed to be selfish. She wasn't selfish by chewing him out. She was selfish by uh, not doing what was in her best financial interest. I don't know.
Right.
Make sense? I don't know. I'm not. By the way, I'm not blaming her or him. I have no idea what their dynamic is, but we should have seen it.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Hey, just to add to this, I'm going to even give you one more. There was somebody who owns a private disc golf course who came to a tournament to promote his course, and he was coming out to this big tournament for 2 days. And the morning of the second day, he's like, "Yeah, I need to leave. I need to leave. She's really bored." And the whole reason he's there is to promote his business. And he was going to lose 50% of his promotional opportunity for his business, which ultimately leads to his course making less money and him being less successful.
Mhm. Yeah. The state of anxiety that you allow affecting the other person is a problem.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
So
one of those
she,
things when we talk about I wouldn't be annoying, I wouldn't annoy him, in a way that's
it's
going to
not in your
affect
best interest.
his ability to do his project that he's working on, or make a phone call, or if he's having a meeting with somebody and he's worried about how I'm feeling while he's there, or what I'm going to be feeling like when he gets back because it's taken so long. He's not going to be in a state of mind where he's making good decisions for the business, so
Right.
that's not in my best interest.
So when she was anxious about him leaving the second day of the tournament, what she should have done, she should have been selfish. Because the selfish thing for her to do, if she was being selfish and thinking about herself, would have been to smile and be pleasant and help him make more money, because then she gets more stuff. Right? She gets a slightly bigger house someday, and she gets a hot tub that they now can't afford because anyways, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to give an example when I say being selfish, like, that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I love this. Any questions about, that's what we want this thing to maybe turn into, is just about dynamics regarding just nomading, but also I guess business and just happiness in general.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unhappiness. I think a lot of it's solvable. I think a lot of it's unsolvable. I mean, it takes two people. Like I don't know. I don't know in a relationship how one person could be happy if it's sabotaged by the other person. Like they always say, "Oh, you're responsible for your own happiness," and it's like, well, maybe. I don't know if that's entirely true. Like if you're in a dynamic that's unhealthy and unhappy, like it's not so easy just to.
Well, and that's sort of true based on what we just said, because you are responsible for your own happiness, but your own happiness also includes the happiness of the people around you, because if they're miserable, then you are too. Or if you don't have enough money, then there's problems. Like if there's conflict, you are not going to be happy. So you are responsible for making an environment which creates your happiness.
But that environment still could be sabotaged by another person.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, you just have to get out and find a person that doesn't sabotage your environment.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that other person is doing a good job, and you need to change and do it in your own best interest.
Right.
That other person maybe is doing just fine.
Right. Yeah, but they're doing fine. Then you do your part to make sure that the fine goes better.
Right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Still being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is this their first time seeing the van?
Yeah, this is, by the way,
Not the best lighting.
it's not the best lighting. It's dark out here. We're in Dangerfield, Texas. Yeah, this is not the best lighting. If I tilt my head back.
So this is like a divider blanket that goes to the back.
We don't sleep in here, by the way. We do hotels every single night.
It's all cargo back there. That's a lot.
Oh, that's really good. I want to see this from Amy. I'll read this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
No, I was just explaining that that's all cargo back there. We don't have like a bed in here. So
yeah, this is backpack, protein shakes, dirty laundry, protein shakes.
A basket.
And then a curtain separated. Rodney D, Texas.
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield, Texas.
This town gets no respect.
This time. Don't say that out loud out there. They're so sick of hearing that. I guarantee you. For a lot of why. Okay, so Amy says that's a lot of why I made the comment that genuineness is everything in relationships. Otherwise, there's no respect, honesty, or a good outcome if not, especially when it comes to a life like yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here I got something for you. That's really. This is. This is like a strange way of saying it. So I'm going to phrase this in a way that some of you might, I don't know, I want to hear what you have to say about what I'm going to say because there might be some pushback to it. But this is basically what it comes down to as far as the way you treat each other. That, and I'm going to cast the gender roles here for a second. Forgive me, I'm older. So like, don't hate on me too much in the comments because I'm generalizing here, but like I don't care. Um, a guy and a girl in a relationship, the guy should always treat his partner like it's a first date and he's trying to sleep with her. That's it. Because that is like he should be. That's what the goal in that case is to basically manipulate, which means skillfully handle a situation to get your outcome. Whether or not you sleep with the person, that's a moot point. But you treat the person as if that's what the goal is. Because look, every guy who meets a girl on Tinder is fantastic that night.
They're on their best behavior.
They're on their best behavior.
Right.
They're saying nice things. They're not going to. And every woman should simultaneously be treating the guy like she's trying to get the guy to marry her. I know I'm talking about traditional gender roles again. Please don't shoot me in the comments, but it's the same idea. When you're trying to traditionally land the husband, that's when the woman is typically on her best behavior. Like two different goals, but that's what men and women typically do. Well, we thought about this and we thought, well, why does that change? Like, why does that have to change once you've been together? Once you are sleeping with me, and once I am marrying you, well, metaphorically marrying you. Like, why don't you always treat your partner that way? Because what happens is people start to treat everyone else in the world. They don't just not treat their partner as well as they used to. They start treating other people better than they would. Like a woman shows her boss and her coworkers more respect than she shows her husband, and a man starts treating his friends better than he treats his wife, and you're like, why?
Mhm.
Why that just seems completely backwards. Like there should never be a day when your partner isn't who you treat the best. Like everybody else, like you should never treat your boss better than your own partner. Screw your boss. Your boss doesn't even matter. But that's not what happens, right?
Right. She says it's complacency.
It is exactly what it is. It's complacency. And so one of the things for us, because we don't have a commit, we're not going to get married, we have no commitment, is that if I do want her to stick around. I mean, she wants me to stick around. We like being together. I mean, we're happy together, but neither one of us have any guarantees that the other person isn't going to change our mind if we stop acting towards each other the way we act towards each other now. If I don't keep treating her the way I treat her, she's under no obligation to stick around. She's got a piece of the business. At this point, if she left tomorrow, she's financially stable based on the business she helped build. So she doesn't need me. I have to make tomorrow with me better than it would be with somebody else. I can't ever slack on that. But same goes for her. She does the same thing here. Like if she starts treating me or acting in a way where, well, wait a second, I could go find someone that treats me better. I got no obligation to keep her around. So there's a constant effort that hopefully it doesn't change.
Right.
If it does,
well, and Amy said, like in a relationship like ours, it is sort of it's a high pressure, like a pressure cooker, because even though we've been together for 4 years, the amount of time that we're together is, like if you have a 40-hour a week job and you're away from your partner, and then
you have hobbies apart from each other,
right? And then you come home, you're really only spending a few hours a night together before you go to sleep, maybe. Sometimes less.
30 hours. We're 30 years in to a traditional time-wise, I bet. 25, 30 years.
Right.
In 4.
So a lot of that is a constant awareness of making sure that consideration for each other doesn't stop, because we do have to do it all day, every day.
Well, I want to win you. I want to win you over every day. You want to win me over. But yeah, that complacency is the word. Can people get complacent? Oh, I mean, by the way, I've been there. We all been there. I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad Ray says, "Amen." Yeah. I
And
mean,
some of it is as simple as expressing gratitude or appreciation that the
somebody
other
stand up.
person is still trying.
Oh my God, how about the gratitude? Yeah, I mean, gratitude. Well, it depends. All right, so let me turn
Yeah,
the.
now you're charging again.
Yeah,
Good job.
so I don't. Okay, so gratitude it's an interesting thing. So
Oops. Did I bump the
of
camera?
all the different cheesy things out there as far as relationships and relationship tests and all, I mean, there's so much bullshit on TikTok and how to test this and like it's nonsense. I mean, most of what I've seen. The one thing we agree on, though, like a philosophy that I think is spot on when it comes to how you treat your partner is the philosophy of love languages.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, those are good.
and so what? So the basic idea of this, if you haven't seen this, by the way, we don't even like the word love, but the idea is that according to this philosophy, there's 5 different ways people show or feel love. It's physical touch, it's words of affirmation, um, it is acts of service, doing something, it's quality time together, and it is gifts. And I mean, these are probably, you could probably break this into 15 categories. You could probably narrow it to 3. So, whatever, it shows these 5 categories. But the philosophy behind it that's so smart is that we, different things mean different things to us. Like, for example, I don't care about gifts. I don't care about stuff. I have a backpack. I don't want things. If somebody gives me a gift, I appreciate where they're coming from, but I don't need a gift. Like I would rather spend time with you. So giving me quality time matters more to me. And some people are very physical. Some people aren't. Right? Some people. The idea is everybody's different what they feel, but what people typically do traditionally is they do for others what they would want done for themselves. And we're taught this. I mean, I've heard this more times in my life, like treat others like you want to be treated.
Or even with Christmas gifts, like we'll just buy
That
something
you would
for them
like.
that you would like to be given.
And it's like, well, wait a second. It's like, no, that's not the case. The idea of the love languages is recognizing the things that your partner wants. And those things are different possibly than what you want.
Right.
So when it comes to like say appreciation, words of affirmation, well, it's very common for men. I mean, and I mean everybody likes to be appreciated, but I think men in a relationship want to feel appreciated differently, right? So a man being told I appreciate you and resonates with a lot of men, but a lot of men don't need to hear that at all. They just, the fact that it might annoy them to be thanked for something because they're like, why are you thanking me? This is my job. Don't thank me for taking the trash out. That's what guys do. Like so some guys it means nothing to, and other guys it means a lot to. So it's about figuring out what your partner likes and then giving them that, even if that's not your thing. And by the way, this is a real common thing. I mean, if you've ever had somebody like someone who works a lot, they're workaholics. You barely get to see them because they work so much, and then they buy you gifts with the money they're making, and you're like, I don't want gifts. I just want you to like be off your laptop at night so you spend time with me. But they're thinking, no, I'm going to work harder so I can make money to buy you stuff to show you how much I love you. So it's not that they're not showing love, they're just showing it wrong for you. It's probably if you ever never looked into it, this is actually like one of the best concepts for relationships in general, right?
Yeah. But we think it often does get taught, but somewhere in the middle it stops. It's the application of it to your partner and giving them the appreciation or the love in the way that matches their love language, not just the way that you're good at giving it.
Yeah, so this actually, so okay, so I like words of affirmation. I like being told thank you for working so hard. That I mean it matters to me. I had a partner that says, I don't understand why I need to tell you this. Like she was a great partner, a great person. I'm not knocking her, but she would tell me, she's like, you shouldn't need to be told thank you. And I'm like, well, I shouldn't need to be told thank you, but I do need to be. So what does it matter if I should or I shouldn't? I do. So like this happened a couple days ago. I was out doing a full day seminar at 120 degrees heat index for 9 hours. And she never interrupts me when I'm working ever. Like I almost never hear anything from her. She never says, "Where are you? When are you getting back?" She just lets me work, and I get home when I get home. But it was 120 degrees, and so just all I got is one little text from her that said, "It's 120 degrees out here, and I'm sitting here in an air conditioned room. I appreciate you so much for working so hard so I can be in an air conditioned room all day. Thank you." That's all she said, and it was like that's all I wanted to hear. That for me, that made 9 hours work no problem because I can work for 9 hours on 120 degrees heat index as long as you appreciate that I'm doing it. And then when I came home, the first thing I said to you was I go, the best thing of all. Remember this? I said the best thing of all. I don't even know if you mean it, nor do I give a shit. Remember?
Yeah.
I don't even care if you mean it or not. You knew that I wanted to hear it, so you said it. So the fact that you did it because I wanted to hear it matters. Whether or not you meant it, irrelevant.
Right.
Because I knew you were doing what I wanted to hear.
The outcome is the same.
The outcome's the same.
You felt good.
I felt good because she did the thing I wanted.
Right.
In fact, even more. It's almost in a weird way. It almost means more if you didn't mean it, because it meant you were putting out the effort to do what I wanted to hear. As strange as that sounds. How about that? I never thought about that till right now. But it's almost better that way. Let's see. Brad Ray said, this has been on my mind for quite some time. This subject you all are eloquently speaking of. Which specifically are you talking about, Brad? Oh, the love languages. It's a wild concept because it makes so much sense. And the next 20 things you hear about relationships on the internet are all stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, most of them are just so backwards. Well, like here, I'll tell you the one that cracks me up. And it's not one. The theme that cracks me up is that, and I feel for young people, I truly do, because young people are having a real tough time now with dating. They're having a tough time with relationships. I'm not going to get into why I think that is, but there's a number of reasons. But they all center around the idea, this one theme, and that is people are different now than they were for the past 12,000 years. Like we're different. We're not the way we've traditionally been. The things that matter don't matter. The genders don't matter, and the this and that doesn't matter. And it's like they're being lied to, and it's like the result is people aren't dating. They're like it's. I wouldn't want to date being a 20-year-old dating right now. It would be really really hard because they're being told that it's different for them. They're different than every other generation, even though they're just humans. Like we don't evolve. We don't
that drastically
in one generation.
Right.
And it's like I think that if you were 20 years old, if all the 20-year-olds would need to do to solve this, talk to their grandparents about what you're supposed to do. And I think their grandparents are probably going to give them the right answer, but TikTok isn't.
Yeah.
Instagram isn't. So that's the younger theme, But then it's not like I understood how anything worked when I was 20. I thought it was different too. So maybe that's just normal. That I didn't have TikTok reaffirming my stupid ideas.
Yeah.
But the love language is, I think, universal. I can't imagine that 500 years ago that wouldn't apply.
Mm-hmm.
Fair?
Yeah. No, I think it is very smart as a system. It works well for parenting too.
Well, I remember. Okay, so this is even something that I thought. I read this like 25 years ago. I'm a voracious reader. I've read a billion books. And when I say a billion, I'm exaggerating. I've only read a million, but I've read a lot. Mostly nonfiction. I just love reading. Now it's all internet, right? But there was a book that came out like 25 years ago that did something I thought was like, I don't think they did it well, but it was Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Remember that book?
Yeah.
Sound familiar? And the whole idea of this book was just a simple idea, which is men and women are different. That was it. But it came at a time when it was like people were getting screwed up because they were taught that men and women are the same, which is ridiculous. But they were taught that, and so this book basically was saying. Now I remember reading it, think it was vanilla, it was cheesy, it was like I thought it was pretty dumb. Like, but the idea made sense. But it's almost a precursor to love languages because a lot of the theme of the book is men would treat women the way they wanted to be treated, and women would treat men the way they wanted to be treated, and the conflict came from that. Like here, that like the stereotypical thing, like the cliche example would be the woman comes home from work, had a rough day at work because she had a problem with her boss, and all she wants is a hug, and the woman and the man tries to solve the problem. I'm not debating which one of those is better. Clearly, I think solving the problem is better because I'm a guy. Like every guy would agree with me, but half the people would probably think, that I'm wrong, which is fine. But the point of it is he's trying to help her the way he would want. He would want someone to try to come up with a solution, and that's not what she wanted. So that was the first time I saw that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, it probably existed before then, but I was too young to understand. Maybe there's always been books like that. That's my generation's.
We have a set of books that we picked up. They're what year are they supposed to be from? Like 1920?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, these are so good.
We should do those at some point.
Oh my god, we have to do those. Yeah, so it's a book. It was books written like the 1920s, and it was rules for men and rules for women, and it was all about relationships. And it was like like they're great because, well, first off, some of them are funny because they're going to be like so dated, because they're going to be. I look. It's 1920s. There is a little bit of like women in the kitchen and like okay, so
we just flipped through it really
but
briefly.
that stuff, by the way, is really funny. It's like it's from a time period. Times change, right? But when you get past that, all of the things they say apply to today perfectly. But most of them, people would cringe at. The comments would be so, and all they are is just logical things. I mean, there's some of the things we've said today that we can explain in a way where everybody goes, "That makes perfect sense." Well, the book says it just maybe a little more bluntly.
Yeah, in a sentence or two, it sounds really bad.
Yeah, but it's not wrong.
Right.
And so we bought these books because we're like, we should do a show where we just talked about. There's hundreds of these examples of what you should do, and
one of them is don't be annoying. Like it
literally says don't. It says don't be annoying.
Like we're like, oh, we agree with that one.
Yeah, but the way they frame it might be a little different.
Yeah.
Hey, here's another one that comes through here. Tammy says, I think it's a wonderful idea sharing your stories and perspectives. People then take that information and reflect on their behaviors and beliefs and use the information to improve their own relationships. Good stuff. Thank you. Yeah, it's a dangerous line though, Tammy, because we don't think we're experts and we don't think we're like.
Yeah, neither of us has a PhD in anything.
Yeah, and we're not, and so it is tough because it's not like we don't want to it can run the risk of sounding like we're on a soapbox when all we're really trying to say is, oops, hold on, don't go, to a large extent, we're just saying this is what we've learned for us, but also what we've seen. Like I've been like when I was traveling before we actually started, started making money. When you were a professional disc golfer, you stayed at people's houses. I have slept on more than 1,000 couches, and probably 700 of them are a married couple. And you don't get to see like real fly in the wall stuff because usually people are on their best behavior. And so I'm aware that my data is skewed, but it's certainly way more data than anybody would get reading books about how couples interact. I mean, I saw enough and was able to pick up on enough to learn a lot about dynamics between between people. And I think I got some info there.
Yeah, quite a bit. Life experience.
Yeah, but we're experienced and oh wait, let's see. Brad said, "Thank you both for sharing these gems of relationship wisdom. A reminder to keep pursuing your partner. It's dark enough now for my 6-year-old, and I throw around some glow discs in the field." Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Hey, we'll be making glow discs soon, so keep our eyes peeled for chain glow discs. They'll be a great one to play with the 6-year-old. And Amy says you've experienced, you're sharing it. You're at a great place too to do that now. And we got to be, we're also, all this is, we've also been through some shit relationships too. It was, and she told me this later on. There's something that she liked about me was that when we first met and whenever we talk about relationships, you said that you noticed that I never talked about what the other person had done.
Right.
Like it was always like when something would come up as so and so, I'd be like, yeah, I could have done better there. I just talked about how I could have improved my part or how I handled it poorly, even if the person was what I felt was awful. Well, how was my response to the awful?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a while before I felt I could even share with her anything about what a past partner had done wrong, because I needed to build up credibility that I wasn't just throwing people under the bus because like, oh, everything must have been their fault.
Yeah.
Like I did my share of failings.
Mm-hmm.
You too?
Well, it's important to acknowledge that you have a part in it. If it's something didn't work out, then it does take two people, right? Always to
Well, I'll give you an
make it
example.
work or fail
I'll give
either
you an
way.
example. Like you're talking about an argument that you're having, and it's like you don't even need to talk about what your partner said in the argument. If you were arguing with them, you could acknowledge that you were part of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if the person, everything they said was irrational, it was mean spirited, even if they remembered every vulnerable moment you ever shared with them and they used it against you in that moment, and then they were lying to you the whole time, all of those things are not even relevant to my part, which is why am I arguing with this person? Why did I sit there and argue with them if I could have just walked away and
Mm-hmm.
it's still my I'm still at fault for arguing. I used to do that. I used to try to convince people that they were wrong.
Yeah. That's
Back in my early days, it mattered to me. I wanted the person to think I was right, and they never once got them to admit I was right. I was like, oh, for 30 years.
I guess that was one of the blessings that I got from growing up in a religious environment. Is I learned very early that no matter what we talked about, I wasn't going to change somebody's opinions of something. So just let them believe what they're going to believe.
Here, I got a funny story. This came up the other day. We remember a couple days ago when something I forget what it was, the details, but there was something that came up, and then we went to a restaurant, and afterwards I was like, "Isn't it fun that we don't argue?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you asked me to explain why I responded the way I did.
Yeah.
And I said, because you were curious. You were curious why we didn't argue there.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the past that would have been an argument. And what I said to her, which is the truth, I said, I looked at what you were thinking and I looked at what I was thinking, and neither one of us would be able to prove the other's point. Oh, no, I know what it was. Is she thought that, no, it was something as simple as she thought that I was reacting. Okay. So that's what it was. It doesn't matter. She thought that I was overreacting to something, and I didn't think I was. And I thought that my reaction was based on her anxiety, and she didn't feel like she was being anxious over it. Right? I mean, this is probably this is a very common thing for a relationship. I didn't like your tone. Well, my tone was in response to you, but I didn't do anything. So why would you have the tone? Right? So when she asked me about it, I said, all I said was, we can't quantify right or wrong in this situation. It's just about our perceptions of the other person's tone. Therefore, we don't have to. Here, the way I like to put it is, neither one of us is required to even concede that the other person might be right.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. Instead, it was, well, I think you were wrong. I'm allowed to. You think I'm wrong. You're allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's nothing. That's all there is.
Right.
We can just simply think the other person's wrong, and who gives a shit?
Right. But it's not
as
like
simple as it
it's not the
sounds.
same as agree to disagree.
No, we don't agree to disagree. I think she's wrong. She thinks I'm wrong. It's not needing to convince the other person of who's right.
Right. Because we could argue.
We could
at
argue,
length.
and we would never win. I'm never going to concede because I'm positive that you had attitude because of the anxiety, and you are positive that I overreacted,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I did. And like, why? What's it like? Okay, we agree. We agree. So yeah, it's not agree to disagree, and it's not conceding. It's not even conceding the other person's point.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm allowed to think you're wrong.
Have my opinion of the way that interaction happened.
Okay. Yep. Oh, it's so. Uh-oh. Wait a second. Oh, it's 21%. Wait a second here. Hold on a second. I have no idea why it shut down, but wait a second. Don't go anybody. All right. So, anyways, yeah, we've all been there. I know. We have all been there, haven't we, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I love the mood lighting because it almost looks like this is like we're being artistic. No, doesn't it kind of seem like that?
Maybe we should get some LED lights for in here.
Is a new book in the works? Yeah,
That's a good question.
Okay, so regarding Amy, are you asking a new book regarding this topic? Is that what you're? Because we actually have talked about this.
His biography is the second book is definitely in progress.
It's gonna happen. Yeah.
The third book is still
being written.
So we're trying to figure out if this, like our life together, is worth a book, or just the continuation of his life experience. Because I also don't want to be the subject of a book. So
yeah, you don't get a choice. You don't have.
Or we're waiting for me to write my own memoirs, which might also happen at some point. You know, I'll need a cash grab. I'm probably gonna outlive him, so
yeah,
maybe.
Possibly. No, you probably will.
Amy says both.
Both. Yeah. No, she's saying both books.
Yeah, both books.
Yeah. So no, we actually talked about writing a relationship book, but then it's kind of like the questions are we qualified, and then also it's like, oh, you've been together 3 years at this point. What do you know? Like 3 years, 24/7 is like 15 years in a normal relationship. It's like we're pretty certain we think we figured out how to get along. But the problem is now is that artificial intelligence is writing books at such a rapid rate that the publishers aren't even taking books anymore. So the format for this really shouldn't be a book because nobody's going to publish a book, put it in Barnes and Noble, and people are going to go to Barnes and Noble and buy a book. I mean, people just it's all online. There's all formats that are more popular. But so I think we have to we're thinking about doing it in a format like this, just chatting with people about anything. So yeah, I think that's the idea.
Yeah, maybe AI can write it for us based on the transcripts of all the videos at some point.
Well, AI could write it for us tomorrow. And they'll write it better than we could. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the qualified part is it's interesting. Like, you know, I think I feel like I'm qualified, but everybody thinks you're qualified. So if you're honest with, like, when you self-assess yourself, you have to question your belief in your own qualification because everybody like we like listening. I mean, like I'll listen to like little videos from like psychology videos, relationship videos, and stuff like that. Like they got into my queue recently, and there's this one guy that I just love. I think everything he says is absolutely so smart. And then so I started watching his stuff, and it started recommending related topics. So I'm not really into watching videos on relationships. I just happen to like his.
You watch one thing though, and then the algorithm
has decided this is what I'm into. Yeah. So now I'm occasionally clicking on these, and I saw one where I showed you. Yeah. So I showed her one the other day that it was so god awful. It was it 9 red flags?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was like 9 red flags that
That you're a bad wife.
oh yeah,
Was
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
That was
It
the
was
one.
9 red flags that you're a bad wife. And we agreed with everything the person said, but none of them were related to being a bad wife. They were all being just a like a disagreeable
Person in
person
general.
that's
Like,
difficult to be around.
yeah,
Like what they talked about would make them a bad parent, would make them a bad friend, would make them a bad coworker.
definitely.
And so, like, here's this thing that has nothing really to do specifically with the relationships. It's just about the character of a person.
Hmm.
So it wasn't that it was bad, but I watched it and it was like, oh. But no, that's not the one. No, no, we saw the other cringy one, the really cringy one with the couple. I'm married to a shrink or something like that.
Oh, right, right.
And it was we were listening to this going, you are you're like I couldn't disagree more with the stuff that they were saying. By the way, they got their PhDs, right? So who am I to disagree with them? But I was listening to it going, wow, you're telling people this stuff? But they clearly think they're qualified because they got a PhD.
Hmm.
And maybe they are qualified. Maybe I'm wrong. Why wouldn't they be more likely to be right than me?
Right.
But wasn't it cringy?
It was. It was hard to listen to.
Yeah, basically. And this is this is kind of what it came down to. When the guy was talking, he was talking about all the things a man should do in a relationship, and I was like, I looked at her, I go, "Would you ever have sex with a guy like that?"
Not a
She's
chance.
like, "Absolutely not." And I'm like, "Well, then that's probably not. You're probably not a good partner. It's probably not the partner you want to be if you're not. If
I don't know why it keeps
I don't
timing
know
out.
either. It's timing out. If
Maybe it's done.
I don't know if you're being a good partner if you're not doing things that make you appealing to your partner. Like your
Yeah,
partner should,
that's kind of part of it. But I guess that's what's attracting his partner. So
no, maybe
apparently it works for some people.
I don't. I don't think he was attracting his partner. I don't think.
I don't know.
Based. I don't think the way she looked at him made it seem like she was. He didn't say things where she just went, oh, right.
That's yeah. I don't
That's my. That's my man said that. That's not what she was saying. She looked at him and was like,
know.
it was cringy, but they have PhDs. So yeah, so
So yeah, we don't have PhDs, but we'll keep talking and see how far we get.
we'll just see what. Yeah, that, like I said, this is all this is just an experiment. That's why I said if you guys have questions, just shoot them over. We're happy to like tackle them, and then we give answers, and then you could write back and be like, "That was a crap answer. You guys should probably not be talking like that," or like, "Wow, that was so smart," or like almost like this is like a rehearsal. Send over questions and we'll see
Yeah.
what we can do. They claim to be qualified because they wrote quoting from books, not from experience. So I'd rather listen to ones who have lived and learned themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's a big difference between people who studied a bunch of stuff and
Right on, Mike.
they don't have life experience or work experience, even though they've got like a degree in something.
Dude,
So.
there's so much. I think there's so much wisdom in this idea, like of talking to grandma
Mhm.
or grandpa, right? And it's like I don't know why it's like it's on screensaver mode now, but
Maybe
they're
it's the time.
no, it can't, no, it's not. It's just it's my phone hates me. I'm 54 years old. My phone hates me. No phone likes a 54-year-old playing with it. It's like
Yeah.
basically when a 54-year-old has like a smartphone, the phone's like thinks I'm like the old guy at the club. Like what are you doing, dude? Like you should
Come on, old man.
come on, old man. This is you don't really fit in here anymore. Um, so no, I think there's a lot of wisdom just in talking to old people who are doing things that you like. They're not automatically wise because they're old by any stretch.
Mhm.
But if an old person is successful at something, then they probably. I mean, if you find a 60-year-old who's been successfully running businesses, doesn't matter how much the world's changed. They can tell you how to run a business today, even if it's an internet-based business that has nothing to do with anything they've ever done. They can help, like way more than some college professor who just studied business in school, in my opinion. As long as they're successful. Now, if they're not successful at business, then don't listen to their business advice.
Or listen to it and find out what you're not supposed to do.
Like one of your grandparents tries to give you relationship advice, and you're like, "Holy crap, you guys are in a shit relationship." Like, don't do what they say. But if your grandma and grandma have been together for 50 years, and you're like, "Oh my God, they're still doing great," then they probably know what they're probably
There's something to learn there.
something to pick out. Yeah. Just if they start talking about sex, just go no, because no one wants to hear 7-year-olds talking about sex, even though according to statistics, they still do it frequently in those nursing homes.
Oh yeah, there's some interesting data about that.
There's interesting data about no. There's actually interesting data about STDs in nursing homes if you look into it. It's actually like
Google that and ask
Google
and thank us later.
Yeah, Google that before dinner tonight. I think that's fantastic. By the way, I'm
wholeheartily
a fan of that. If I was in a nursing home that was 5-to-1 women to men, I'd clean up. Guess I will.
Is that your plan for retirement?
No, actually, I just realized, it just dawned on me. Like, I always said I'm never going to be in a nursing home because I'm going to be a nomad. I'm going to travel for the rest of my life. But women outlive men. So if or when I get to an age where the women outnumber me 5-to-1, I want to be in a nursing home.
Solid plan.
Those are your odds. Like when you're 5-to-1, you don't even have to try.
Yeah.
You'd have to keep like a baseball bat by your.
Yeah.
It's some 80-year-old would like come knocking on your door, and you're like, "I'm sorry, my cutoff 75."
Yeah.
You're way too old for me. Maybe when your younger sister gets admitted, when your 72-year-old younger sister, tell her to give her my number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we gross everybody out? I got big plans for the future. I'm only 54. Yeah, I just
for
realized.
1 more month. Hit the button.
I'll be 55 this month. Yeah, for some reason, this thing.
I think it has something to do with it.
It's because my phone hates me. All right, so we can check out unless anybody has any random questions they want to throw out that we could tackle just because we're rehearsing for our big debut.
Debut? I wasn't aware of that.
You don't have to be. You'll debut when I tell you to debut, woman. Right? I'll just tell you. I'll just text you the time, and then you have to just.
Here, make a thumbnail for that. Oh, okay.
Here, make a
what
thumbnail.
Am I doing?
Make a thumbnail from the show you're going to be on. Well,
that's how it went today. Make a thumbnail.
Well, you always wear a hat.
Yeah.
And you never wear makeup. You don't own any makeup, so it's I think that makes it really easy to
spring stuff on. I can't claim a bad hair day.
And by the way, check it out with this lighting, like with this really artistic film noir type. Like basically, if we muted this a little bit, this was like Chinatown or something.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't it kind of like that?
We put like a red light in the corner.
You know what it reminds me of? You know what? No. Remember Orson Welles, the Other Man? What's it called?
Oh, The Third Man.
The Third Man.
That was a great movie.
Orson, we like really old classic movies. Orson Welles, The Third Man. But I can't remember the name of it. But there's scene where you first see him and he's like half in shadow. That's what you look like right now, doesn't it? Yeah. By the way, I just told you look like Orson Welles. How does that feel?
Hey, that was a good time period. The men were very dapper. I'll take it.
By the way, need a string of small red lanterns behind us.
Yeah, see? That's what I said. We should get some like LEDs and put them up here.
We could do. Well, what movie?
I'll order them from Amazon.
Is there any movie
maybe those are the next show?
You know what we saw? I'll tell you guys, this is off. Not really off. There's no topic. But as far as classic movies, and it's so strange because we had never seen this. We went through a list of like the greatest films of all time, and we looked at and some of the most classic greatest films of all time, like we haven't seen, which is weird because they're such a part of American culture. Like we should have seen them by now, but just whatever reason we didn't see it. Neither one of us had seen Casablanca, and we were like, wait, you've never seen it either? And we're like, oh my God. So we watched it and it is so freaking good.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's not like
up to the hype,
it's not dated, it's not anything. It's just and the lines, what you don't realize until you've seen Casablanca is how many times that movie was quoted in Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Oh yeah.
There's like 5 or 6 lines I've heard like Wile E. Coyote or the not Wile, but like Bugs Bunny say. I've heard Daffy Duck say it.
Elmer Fudd.
I've heard Elmer Fudd say it. Like Bugs Bunny would hold up a sign, like boing, before or the Roadrunner, and like it's like I didn't like they were they were referencing Casablanca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my hot tip. I love to rewatch. That's been a long time. Older movies, your favorite.
Yeah, totally great.
Yep. The other thing we've been okay, so we don't have a lot of time for movies, but we kind of hate modern Hollywood like a lot. I hate it more than you.
Yeah.
You're indifferent to it. I despise it. So we started watching just movies from other countries, and we started getting into Bollywood movies. We don't have a lot of time, so we probably watch a movie a month. But we started watching movies coming out of India. If you haven't seen RRR,
just the letter.
It's just a letter RRR. Holy cow, is that good?
Yeah.
Then we also saw Three Idiots, but I thought RRR was like way better.
It's different genres, so
they're
not even comparable.
But, no, that's my hot tip for everybody. Just go look it up. It's not some big secret. It's won like all these awards, and it's got like 98% tomato meter. So it's not like some hidden gem. It's pretty much like the hottest thing that came out of India, but it's the most unbelievable movie I'd seen in probably 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And it's got action and dancing and singing.
No, what it has?
Real true story that tracks through all the characters and
not just that. Check this out. I realized something we don't have in modern movies that even when I was younger we had, but not as much as they had in the old days. India has movie stars. Mm-hmm. Actual, honest to God, like the 2 main characters in the movie, they're handsome, they got ripped bodies, they can act, they can do action scenes, they can do fight scenes, they can sing, they can dance, yeah. They can put on a suit and be dapper, and then they could be rough and then start shooting people with machine guns. Mm-hmm. But it's basically they're the classic of like the classic American movie stars where they're just larger than life. And like I get it. Like I get the appeal of the movie star because
yeah, we kind of don't have those anymore.
No, there was a poll recently. Check this out. There was a poll recently where they asked Americans to name their 10 favorite movie stars. And 9 of the 10 were over 50 years old. There was one, and I think it was the kid that played Willy Wonka.
Oh, Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, because he had just been in Dune, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah. He's a good actor.
I think he was the only one over. Everyone else was like Brad Pitt, Harrison Ford, Edward Norton, like the classics. And I'm like, wait a second, they're from the Tom Cruise. They're from the 80s. That's how rare the movie stars are. Yeah, they need to put a post of list of movies you like or music. I did that the other day. I posted that the Toy Dolls were the most underrated band of all time. But they are.
Yeah. I don't know. There used to be a way to keep lists on the page. I'll have to see if there's something still.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a list of my top 10 movies. I did also one. I said the top rated indie films of all time. Because my favorite one is it's an Irish film called Once.
It was a prerequisite when I.
Oh no! If you haven't seen Once, it's just called Once. It's from like 15 years ago. It came out of Ireland. When we got together, I made her watch like 5 movies when we first started hanging out. I'm like we don't even have common ground until you've seen these, because she was busy raising a kid and left the world for like 18 years.
I also traveled full time in an RV, so I didn't really have like media and stuff like that. It was
I made her watch Once.
Checked out of society for a while.
I made her watch Once, but I also made her watch Porky's. So
right.
And Revenge of the Nerds. And Bad News Bears. So it wasn't all about like hoity-toity shit. It was The Handmaiden, which is a South Korean movie. That's my favorite movie of all time. And then Once, and Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds.
And a lot of wrestling.
And pro wrestling. I did watch pro wrestling. No, not pro wrestling. Pro wrestling documentaries. Not to see. All right, guys. I think let's see. Feel that I love hearing of movies and music I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
So what we were doing, I'll tell you something, Amy. This was we had one plan, and then we just altered it. And again, we watch like literally a movie a month. We're so busy, and when we drive, we talk. We don't listen to books on tape. We just converse the whole time. So we don't really. But we're trying to watch more. And our original plan was we went to the American Film Institute top 100 movies of all time. And we started going through the list backwards from 100. And any movie that both of us hadn't seen, we were going to watch. And the idea was that by the end of it, we would have both seen what were considered the 100 greatest films of all time. And we got from, it took like 3 years, we probably saw 7 of them. The 7 we haven't seen between 180. So we didn't make much progress. But we changed our mind. I think what we're going to do is instead, we were going to go country by country, starting with like I guess alphabetical. I don't know if it's Albania, whatever the first country alphabetically is, and just figure out what would be considered that country's greatest film. It could be a comedy, it could be a romance, it could be a musical. Doesn't matter. What's that country's greatest film? And then watch the greatest film from every country. Although that makes us we'd have to watch like 150 films, but like there's some like movies like City of Gold or something like that from Brazil, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to work on that.
I think that's our plan now, is to not limit it, because all the 100 greatest films are mostly American. Yeah. So we should. Yeah. So Amy, how about this, Amy? Why don't you how about what I'm going to do, Amy, is I'm going to do a post on the longest drive page about, I'll figure out what the country is first, and I'll say, hey, does anybody want to join us on this thing?
Yeah.
And we'll see if anybody wants to, they can join. And I'll say, we've done our research, and the greatest film out of Albania is something. And then we'll say, and then we could say like, hey, we have a week to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of next week, I'll post something about the movie, and then everybody could kind of give feedback on it. And so by the way, we reserve the right. We could go live oak, like a movie club instead of a book. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and we also reserve the right about if we get 6 countries in and 4 of those movies were like pulling teeth. Because here's the thing. Okay, check this out. I'll say this. There's a YouTube channel called Cinefix. Mm-hmm. I should know the name of it because I've watched maybe 40 of their YouTube videos. They're I love these videos, right? Because it's basically like they go the top 10 action scenes of all time, and they break down 10 different action scenes over the last like 80 years across all these different countries. And I love hold on a minute. And so I love these So I absolutely love this channel because they reviews these movies, and I completely agree with all the stuff they talk about. It seems like so much fun, right? And so and by the way, it's kind of a little hoity-toity, right? Because it's like, their favorite this might be some film from Germany in 1928, silent film is their number 6 best, blah blah blah. So has a little bit of pretentiousness to it, but I also like I like these films too, right? So these guys made a list of their 50 greatest films of all time. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be amazing because these guys are the experts. I agree with everything they said. And I started watching the movie. We started watching the movies,
mm-hmm.
and every other one was unwatchable.
Right.
Like you get halfway into it, you're like, it's like it's a guy staring at a sandcastle for 40 minutes or something. It's like the first 40 minutes and he's just staring at a sand and you're like, and I'm like, wow, you really are just pretentious. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like
Wait,
you really are just.
maybe we needed to start like 50% up because then they get through that, like the obligatory mentions from all these other
No,
weird
it's true.
places.
I mean, because
Yeah.
the one was called, I can't remember the name of it. They were, I mean, look, I mean, maybe I'm just not sophisticated enough to get it, but I'm sorry. I'm positive some of these films were just bad. And I get that it was a 1926 black and white silent Russian movie by some famous director that invented
Oh,
some.
the one that we had the biggest issue
Oh,
with though was the Spike Lee movie. Do you remember?
oh my God, yeah,
That was like, okay, well, we understand that you want to give Spike Lee credit,
because
but
he's an influential
that was
filmmaker.
like such a bad movie.
It was the worst dialogue I've ever seen in a movie. It was like that's it. The movie was supposed to be about racism, and I'm like, that's not what racism looks like, and that's not how people talk. People don't use those words.
Hmm.
I was so disappointed.
Yeah, it was difficult.
But then I liked Son of Sam, which did not get critical acclaim. So
Hmm.
again, maybe I'm just not sophisticated enough to get them. Anyways, um,
She
yeah,
says, Amy says she used to like Turner Classic
tournament. You have a
movies.
cable long ago, but now it's too expensive to get it with all access. So I have to find other apps classic movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Randy started watching all these classic movies, and
Hmm.
there's that part. Well, what I'm going to do is I'll try to figure out these movies. I'll be honest, I can't even imagine you have to pay for a lot of them. I bet you a lot of these are just on YouTube
Yeah.
because if it's a 1973 Albanian film about an orphan whose parents, I mean, and like that's
Like
not.
they're just trying to get people to watch because
Yeah, it's
they
going to
don't
be on
have any
YouTube
money
with like
after that.
600 views.
Yeah.
I would think so. I bet a lot of these would be free.
Or we'll try and find where they're available, so at least you don't have to go hunting for them. Everybody go hunting
Well,
individually.
at worst they're like
Yeah.
$3 though on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Amy, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to figure that out, and we'll create it as a movie club, and then yeah, let's do that. That'll be our plan.
That sounds fun.
Yep, and we won't have to watch The Godfather until like 150 movies in when we get to the United States. Yep. Russ says you agree. I don't know what do you agree with, Russ? That like I'm unsophisticated, or that some of these people are just pretentious, or both?
Yeah, all of the above.
My favorite disc ever. My favorite disc ever is God. I want to say it's one of the discs I make, but I haven't thrown them long enough for that to be my favorite disc. So I'm going to go with the Berg from a company that I don't even get paid to throw, because y'all know I'm honest. But they will be my disc. But I just gotta win some tournaments with them before I can even say these are my favorite. Oh, you agree about Son of Sam? Yeah, Son of Sam was good. Yeah, the one was it was the one that I didn't like was it wasn't Do the Right Thing. It was about just one day, like a hot summer day in the Bronx, and there's a pizza parlor, and it just dealt with like an Italian pizza restaurant in a black neighborhood and the conflict between the different races that kind of were forced to intermingle within that neighborhood. And it was so in your face that it was just like, I'm like, that's not how racism is. Like, there's racism because
Well, it seemed
it's
like
just
every person in the movie was
was
like a
wild,
caricature of what
a
they were,
stereotype.
of a stereotype, and then they were all very unlikable because they were all,
No, everybody was unlikable. There's not a single person in that movie I was like rooting for.
yeah, they all had this major character flaw, and it was like, I don't really want
I'm not.
that relationship to work out. They're not good for each other, and
No,
can't really
I
give
just
any
like no,
nice
no. I
things.
didn't like it because it felt like it was written by like it was like a junior high school project. It was just very unsophisticated.
Hmm.
After acknowledging that I might be unsophisticated, so I ain't pointing
Yeah, see,
fingers.
he remembers the idea of the movie. He just can't remember the name either.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was hard to watch.
if I could do doubles with anyone, who would I pick? Right now, Gannon. Of course,
You want to win.
if I want to win. That's really remember. That's it. All right. Yeah. So I am going to do that. I'm going to post. No, not it wasn't Jungle Fever. God, it's famous.
Yeah. I think it was his first ever
I think it was too.
major, and I think that's why they gave him credit for it, is because it was his
Well, they were
breakout
trying
or
to
something
no,
like
because
that.
Spike Lee's like I don't know if he's a good filmmaker, but he's an important filmmaker, and
Yeah.
those aren't the same things. But a lot of times, Hollywood culturally doesn't necessarily view things as what's good or bad, but rather like what's important. So, like films, for instance, they might give an award to something that isn't the best film, but it's a subject matter that they find important with their ideology. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it seems like that's something that they do.
Yeah.
They're it's based on the message
Or
as
the
opposed to
impact that it had
or the
because of,
project or the
yeah. And
And
I think that's why.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because there's been a million very good films on dealing with racism that I felt top did the topic way better.
But like when you're the first one to do it.
Well, not the first one. Like like To Kill a Mockingbird's one. I'm not the first. That's my favorite. Just about my favorite film of all time.
Mm-hmm.
About racism, right?
Yeah.
So, but
well, as a black director, I'm sure.
And that director, mainstream, taking the topic. Anyways, yeah. So the point was is that that was rated as one of the top 100 films of all time. It wasn't one of the top 100 films, but they wanted to make sure they recognized him as one of the 100 most influential.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird.
I had to read that book in school. Yeah, I read that book 5-6 times. Like I love.
We watched it in school too.
Yeah, I love. Oh my god, I love that book. I've actually just watched the courtroom scene, like on YouTube, just not even the whole movie. Oh my god, and your hubby said he never watched To Kill a Mockingbird. And his ass is watching as soon as I love that movie and book. Yeah, so Amy, tell your husband that this is not a movie it's not some old fashioned movie that like is interesting because it's important. Like it's a unbelievably fantastic story that gets interesting about 2 minutes in, and it does a great job.
And it's well acted too. If you watch,
it's Gregory Peck. My God,
so it's perfect. Yeah.
They even have Donald Sutherland in it. Did you know that?
Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything else because we're not going to say anything because you haven't seen the movie yet. But it's got Donald Sutherland is in the movie. That's like.
Oh yeah. Okay. I remember his face. I was trying to think which character. Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's a perfect. It's a flawless movie. Mm-hmm. All right, Amy, we're going to start the club. We're going to call it the Watch Movie from Another Country with Us and Amy Club.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Amy? Can I call it that? We're going to say we're watching movies with the Amy Club, and then people can join the Watch Movies with Scott, Adrianna, and Amy Club, or your husband too.
There's a documentary.
I think.
Hey Boo?
No, I have not seen it. Now I want to. Oh, I would love to see it.
Look it up.
Well, I would love to. I mean, Harper Lee was a strange woman because she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. I believe that was her only book, which is such an unusual thing. Hold on, let me turn that thing, which is very unusual because it was like. So there was always kind of a question, like if that's her only book, like, did she write the book? Maybe did she?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like why didn't you write another book when it was that good? No, she's got more, at least one more. I have 2 by her. Okay, so then so then maybe I'm confusing her story with somebody else, or did she write the other one like 20 years later or something? Let's see. Oh, going to the library right now to see the name of the other book. How many discs do you plan to hope to make design by yourself? Oh, I plan on releasing a disc every 3 months for the rest of my life, as long as I own the company. We have a bunch of molds already built. We got the 8 original Ching molds. We got the 3 out, but we have 2 more look at that, like that too. We have 2 more discs coming out in about a month. Limitless. Wait, no, is Limitless the one by Harper Lee? Now I have to read that. I can't remember. Like, why? Like, why did I think that she had only written one book? You need a floater. Eat more fiber. What? What?
I didn't expect that. I'm sorry, it caught me off guard.
Why? Is that funny to you? What are you supposed to do?
I don't know.
No, if you eat a lot of protein, it'll sink for sure. See, look at the things you learn. Imagine. Can you imagine if you didn't tune in tonight? Oh, a floater disc. Ah, okay. So the Ching doesn't float, the Juju, but it does fly more like a traditional frisbee. I'll be making frisbees and everything else. We're full steam ahead. We are not like the blowfly. Um, I think you would love the Ching Juju. The Ching Juju flies.
It's very glidey.
It's very glidey. It's basically like it flies like a glitch. How the glitch takes no effort and it glides because it's not a traditional golf disc. It's not heavy. So um, it has that characteristic. It flies. It doesn't fade at all. It'll fly straight and land flat. So it does have that type of glide. Gone Will Do It is the only book written by Margaret Mitchell.
Maybe that's what you're thinking.
No, I don't think it was. There's something about Harper Lee that there's something about either she wrote the other book first and didn't write another one after To Kill a Mockingbird, or she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird and didn't write another book for like 25 years, or she started and someone else finished it, or there's something more to this story. I just can't recall what it was. But I know she wasn't a prolific author. She wasn't, because she wrote that book and not a whole lot else. By the way, if you guys want to hear, if you want to go down a rabbit hole of a fun story, Melville, who wrote Moby Dick, it's the quick summary of Moby Dick was that when he wrote it, he had written several successful books, like pop culture books, in the style at the time that would be popular, and he was a successful author. It was on his way to being a more successful author because people were buying his books and he was making a good living. And someone like, and I don't know if it was like Lewis Carroll, but it was some author that I couldn't remember the other day, but some author we had heard of. Maybe it was like Lewis Carroll, recommended that he write a book in his style, which was completely different than anything that was being written at the time. And so he wrote Moby Dick in his style, and everybody said this is the most unreadable, useless piece of garbage ever. It destroyed his writing career. He lost his contract. Nobody paid him to write another book. And basically, he died like broken in an insane asylum or something like that. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, it's like he was going to be successful. He wrote Moby Dick in his style. Nobody understood it. No one liked it. They didn't get it. His life comes to an end at that point. It just takes like 40 years before he dies. Like, it was a horrible story. So, anyways, some kid at some university was at the Library of Congress or something like that, or no, it wasn't Library of Congress. No, he was like in the Harvard Library. It was like it was back east somewhere, and he's researching books from Melville's time period. And so he grabs this thing called Moby Dick by someone that no one's ever heard of. No one ever heard of Moby Dick. And he starts reading it. This is like the earliest 20th century. And he's like, oh my God, this thing is the greatest thing I've ever read in my entire life. Because apparently that style of writing was popular in like the 1920s. It just wasn't popular 50 years earlier when he wrote it. They didn't understand it. Then he dies. That style of writing comes into favor. And so after this poor man's dead and his entire career was ruined because he wrote Moby Dick, it was declared the greatest novel ever written. And then it just came out of the grave and became this like sensation at its time. And now if you read it today, it's also dated because the style of writing is very difficult to read. So apparently it's interesting. I don't know. I happen to think that's an interesting story.
It happens a lot with art.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it happened to me with Moby Dick. So I tried reading Moby Dick and I found it very difficult and I didn't like it. And I also, thank you, Russ, I didn't finish it either. because it didn't match our style of storytelling and the way, like, it didn't match our humor. But apparently it aligned with a time period 50 years after he wrote it.
Amy, I just do everything on Kindle because then you can carry a huge library with you in your bag.
Yeah, we save. Yeah, everything is. Or you just buy stuff, and then when you're done reading it, you donate it because you can always buy another copy.
Yeah.
You can always.
If you are in a lot of states will let you have a library card that gives you online access to, so you can check books out digitally.
Yeah. Well, let's see. It would have to be. You can't now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Literature is getting lost in the media nowadays. Kids don't want to read nearly as much anymore. No, they don't. And nor do I blame them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's so many more. Here, hey, you ready for this, JJ? I'm going to give you this little, like a funky thought experiment. I didn't come up with this. Someone else came up with this, but I thought it was a really interesting kind of thought experiment. So if you're my age, um, so if you're my age, we grew up reading books. And so as we got older, our parents would be like, why are you like, they would say, why are you wasting your time playing video games? It's so unhealthy to play video games, right? I mean, you're sitting there, you're zoning out, you're just focused on the TV, you're not challenging your mind, you're just being distracted, and books make you think, and books make you be creative and use your imagination, right? This is what we were all generally told by our parents, or at least, or we told our kids, right, as they got older. Sorry, our kids, because they were playing video games and not reading books. But here's the thought experiment. This all occurred because in our world, books basically came before video games. So we grew up reading books, our kids grew up on video games, so we think books are better. But imagine if video games had existed all along and books came out after. So imagine we played video games. We grew up on video games, but now our kids weren't playing video games anymore. They were doing this new thing called reading books. Like, wouldn't we say to our kids, why are you wasting your time reading books? You're isolating, you're by yourself, you're not even on a headphone talking to your friends. You're being spoon-fed a story. You're not even getting to create the story yourself. You're literally being told exactly what to think. In fact, you're even being told what the characters in the thing think. Whereas in a video game, you get to use your imagination and identify and project into what those characters might be thinking as you control them, and you're writing the story for yourself. Books, you don't even write the story for yourself. Literally, the ending is decided before you start. Like, wouldn't we, if that had happened, wouldn't we feel that video games were far more creative? And by the way, I'm not saying one's more creative than the other, but the point is, we tend to think what we grew up on was better,
Or whatever
and
came first.
whatever came first must have been better. So it's um, we grew up on books, but it's like, well, I don't know, YouTube is a lot more like, I mean, YouTube was like a million books and like at our fingertips. Let's see. I hope not. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, you made a whole room in the library, so hope buying the back would never happen. Nah, you don't need to get rid of your books. I got rid of all my books when I went through my trouble like 10 years ago. Our house was being foreclosed on, and I had more than 1,000 books on science, philosophy, history, math, physics, biology, chemistry, psychology. I'd read more than 1,000 books on things about how the world works, because that's always been my passion, trying to understand the world. And I sold, not even sell them. I donated. No, I'm sorry. I did sell them to a used bookstore that went out of business, and they never sent me money because they went out of business. But I got rid of all my books when I was in the process of losing everything, and it was absolutely heartbreaking to me because that was my everything. My all my knowledge was like in like a few bookshelves that took over my living room. The only thing, interestingly enough, that I saved and didn't sell was my travel books of the places I wanted to go to. And the reason why I saved them was because even though my life was going to shit at that point, the travel books were my those were my belief that like things would be better in 10 years. So I actually like
They grounded you.
they didn't ground me. They allowed me to leave my present, which sucked, and fantasize that things would be better. I mean, at the time, just 10 years ago, so I was still doing drugs. So we clearly, like, you know, I wasn't going anywhere at that point in my life. But the books were the travel books were the only thing I held on to, because then I was like, I'm going to this place someday.
Yeah, when I downsized my house and got rid of all of our things too, we donated a ton of books to the local library. And mine were mostly like biology and stuff like that. A bunch of homeschool stuff that we were using for my son at the time. And a lot of that I did find out later that I was able to check them out again, because there were some reference books and
Really?
things that I did want to have access to again, and that's really, really good. And if you have issues with the way that people like to be able to turn the page and stuff, there's settings in the apps to let you be able to turn the page.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and if you get one, there's like this screen protector that makes it feel like paper too.
Really?
Yeah, so there's hacks that you help you trick your brain into feeling like you're still holding a book.
I should do is I should get you some books.
Hmm?
I should get you a book on laundry. I should get you a book on doing dishes. I'll get you one on sweeping, one on mopping, one on vacuuming, one on dusting.
I don't need to know any of that. The maids at the hotel do it.
No. But these are skills you need to have. What else are going to be? I think that those are the main things.
Dusting, you forgot dusting.
No, I didn't know. This is dusting. What do you think this?
Oh.
Does that look like dusting to you?
Mm.
Cooking, cleaning, dishes, laundry, vacuuming, dusting. The big six. Yeah, that's what I'm going to buy.
Folding napkins. I took the important stuff.
Yep. I'm going to. You did the what?
I said no. I took the important stuff, like the way you set up the silverware when you're setting a place setting, how to fold napkins.
Yeah, you
those
better.
those are the lessons I took.
Yeah, I like you better be. I don't want to like sit at a shit table just because you can't do your woman's work. Let's see. JJ says, I would say that you can always gain more from a book that could never be. I'm 28 and I grew up right when books and video games became so much fun. So much more of a fad, but I've always been an outside kid, so I guess it's crazy to watch much of our cores of society get washed away. Yeah, I'm like, honestly, like, I don't even see. I try to be very careful with how I feel about this, because like when I was a kid, I grew up in the 70s, and basically, like, you on Saturday morning, you got on your bike and you rode around the neighborhood by yourself on your bike um until you found like a front lawn with like 5 bikes on it, and that's where all your friends were. And it seems like that was so much more social, right? For example, because that's what I'm used to. Like, that's what social as a kid was. And it's like now you see kids, oh, they don't ever leave the house, whatever. But they're constantly texting and talking on their earphones, and they're on Twitch, and they're on live stream with their friends at a level we never were. Like, unless you picked up the phone, which basically required getting permission from your parents because they didn't want you on the phone, because there was one phone with a 3-foot long cord and it was in the fucking living room right next to the television set. So if your parents were watching TV, you couldn't even call your friends. Don't get me started.
That sounds oddly specific.
Yes, it was very specific. So, anyways, no, but I mean, so like their kids are also simultaneously more social.
Mm-hmm.
But social media gets a bad rap, but that's a type of social too. It just looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it's automatically bad. Like, I know it's automatically a hell of a lot different and weird to grow up that way, but I mean, is it wrong? Like,
yeah, who's to say? We'll have to wait until
it'll take 100 years before we judge.
Yeah.
I do wish kids could do trick or treating. That'll never happen again.
Those were fun times.
Yeah.
What's this? How many of?
Yes. How many of those hats do I have? Okay, ready for this? I have this one. I have one. I bought this in Japan. I need to buy more because eventually it's going to fall apart. It's Japanese, so it's probably way better made than anything anywhere else in the
It's
world.
been washed quite a bit and
It's been
hasn't
washed.
started. It's not really looking that bad.
No, it's not really looking that bad. When I sweat, it turns all white from the salt. It looks all gross and stuff like that. But then I just have to I just rinse it off in the sink. I need to buy more, and I'm gonna get these. I'm gonna put my logo on the back. So I'm actually gonna put my logo on them and sell them too. So, all right. So we should probably. Do I have Irish heritage? No. Okay, I'll tell you the story of the hat if you're interested, because the hat does come with an interesting story. I think it comes with an interesting story. So this hat wasn't my idea. So I'm really big on branding. Like branding's a big thing for your business and your company as a professional athlete, whatever you want to define athlete as. But our brand, how many discs we sell, and how many people show up to our events and clinics, and our sponsorship money and YouTube views. It's all related to our brand. And creating a unique brand around yourself isn't easy. Like like you can try to create something that's a brand. I'll always wear I'm going to be the guy that always wears pink shirts or something, but that may or may not work. It almost has to be organic when you find something that clicks and you go, oh my God, that's your brand. It's so smart. So there was a player on tour, and I don't want to name names because I don't want to be throwing him under the bus. But there was a player on tour who was at a middle of the pack pro, like maybe hovering around top 50. So really good, but he's not Gannon or AB, right? He's about a top 50 pro. And he shows up 2 years ago to the Ledgestone Open wearing a hat identical to this. And I saw the hat and I went, dude, and I ran over to him. You were there. I ran over to him like, oh my God, where did you get that hat? He's like, oh, we bought it at Goodwill. It's like $2. I'm like, and I lecture the kids on like their business because they're kids. They don't understand business. I go, dude, do not let me ever see you not wearing that hat again. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, you nailed it. I go, it looks so cool and so sharp. I go, but it's you. I go, if you start wearing this hat, fans will show up to a disc golf tournament. They're going to see pro players practicing all over the course, and they're going to go, oh, there's a bunch of players over there. Oh, and they're going to know you by name. They won't know the three people in your group. And he goes, really? I go, this hat, you nailed it. You organically got your branding. Don't ever not wear this hat again. So for the next probably 3 or 4 tournaments, I messaged him every single morning. I literally messaged him and I said, wear the fucking hat today. So, I mean, literally, I'm quoting, wear the fucking hat every single time, because I didn't want him to stop wearing the hat. I wanted, because it was going to catch on. And he did for a little bit, and then he kind of got burned out and stopped wearing it. And I was so disappointed because I think he blew it. So anyways, I'm over in Japan the following year. I'm in a store and I see this hat and I'm like, I want to start wearing the hat. I go, it's so good. I'm like, no one else is doing it. I go, I don't want to steal his idea though. So I literally messaged him from Japan. I said, are you going to wear the hat anymore? Nah, I got rid of the hat. I go, you sure you're not going to wear the hat anymore? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to. You cool with that? And I don't want to steal your idea. He's like, yeah, I'm uncool with it. And then I bought it and have never shot a video without it since. But it wasn't my idea. He
Let it slip.
He let it slip out of his hands, and I cannot believe he did it.
But hadn't you worn a similar hat in? There's a picture.
Oh no,
somewhere of
I
you.
wore some bowler hats or stuff like that, but no, not this. So, anyways, I just thought I bought it because I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
But
it's quite recognizable.
It's recognizable. So now, even now today, I think that tons of people, when I go out to course, I think they recognize. Oh, hold on. I think a lot of people now, I think a sizable percentage, I'm pretty recognizable on the course now because of YouTube and stuff. But I think there's a percentage of people that would not, there's the people that recognize me whether I wear the hat or not. But there's an additional group of people now that recognize me because of the hat. I really think so.
Yeah, I think so. I do like it.
No, I like it. So yeah, it's just
not that it matters because I'm also selfish. Remember, we talked about that earlier.
Because I make more money.
It's in the best interest of him to be recognizable. So
because I make more money, I can buy you stuff.
I will defer to it being good for Me, because it's good for him.
But it's like, yeah. No. And the more money I make, the more expensive the insurance policy is.
Yes.
So check this out, everybody. You know what she did? I about a year or two ago, I was like, hey, wait, do you have a life insurance policy on me? She's like, yeah, of course I do. And I go, how much is it for? She says, exactly as much as you're worth to me alive.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. So that just now it doesn't matter if you live or die because
I have a life that I've grown accustomed to. And so
so
the reason I don't need all those books you were talking about.
so the life, yeah, my life insurance, her life insurance policy on me is exactly what I'm worth to her alive. And when we started the disc company, I go, now I run my own disc company. I mean, I'm manufacturing golf discs. I'm like, did you up the insurance policy? She's like, yeah, of course I did. I said, how much? She says, well, I estimated how much more you're worth now, and I upped the policy.
That's stupid.
How's that? How's that? By the way, I totally respect that. The funniest part, though, is she's actually paying for the insurance policy with my money, which is, I'm not sure how that worked out.
That's I just said I'm not stupid.
I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I think it's a smart move, but I think it's so funny. She's quantified my life in a dollar amount. She actually figured out what I'm worth to her life. By the way, you ain't worth nothing. I don't have an insurance policy on her because she ain't worth nothing to me financially. If you were gone tomorrow, I don't lose a penny.
No.
I double my income. Wait a second. I make more money if you leave.
Maybe.
So you're worth more to me dead than alive. I'm worth the same to you alive or dead, but you're worth more to me dead.
And now
interesting. Oh no, this is one of those things now where if all of a sudden you turn up missing, cold case files is gonna find this video. God, I shouldn't have said those words out loud.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you a true story. I would never get a life insurance policy on my partner because I know exactly what's gonna happen. I've had a premonition. Not that I believe in premonitions, but I've had a premonition. I've always felt like if I ever got a life insurance policy on my partner, like a week later, some like serial killer is going to abduct and murder her. And then they're going to find the body in a shallow grave somewhere. And they're going to be like, well, all right, we're going to look for the murderer. Oh, you took a life insurance policy out on her last week. Coincidence? I think not. I'm positive that'll happen. So I can't get a life insurance policy on you because I'm positive a serial killer is going to murder you.
Yeah.
A week later, and I'm going to go to prison for it because of that stupid policy. I know that's what happened.
We do have policies for travel, like things like that anyway. Yeah. So you'll be all right. Plus, I'm replaceable. So.
Yeah, you're not just replaceable. I make more money if you leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna burn that hat later. Be careful.
No, I'll probably put it in a museum.
Yeah, that's true. That's got stuff in the museum. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Smithsonian,
the Stokesonian.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Oh, if you can do that, will you make a statue, bronze statue?
There's already one at Eagles Crossing.
Of me?
Yeah, it's like this. Remember?
Oh, that's me. With the big dong that goes to points up.
I don't know. I asked Phil Samuels about it.
Come back to Live Oak. I got another one for you. All right, you got it. Next time I see you, I'll take one. I need to get a couple more because eventually it's going to fall apart on me.
Yeah.
But until then, got another one for you. Hat bandits. I knew what you meant, Russ. All right, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and want to go and call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go try to find. It's already 10 o'clock. I don't know if we're going to find ice cream. We got to find some ice cream.
We gotta drive
Amy, we are going to start a book club or a movie club called the Watching Movie. Right? Is that the name of it?
We'll figure it out.
We're going to call it the. No. We already said it. We already put it in writing. We're going to call it the Watching Movies with Amy Club. And then people can join the Watching Movies with Amy Club. No, I'm serious. That's what I'm going to call it. And then we will figure out the first country alphabetically, and I'll post a name of whatever that movie is and where to get it, and that'll be something we'll just do. And then we'll see if anybody wants to do it. By the way, look at it. I'm like now I'm pitch black now. All you see is a hand. Good night from 16629. Damn, you're old like me. That's like 16,000 is probably 1991 or something like that, I'm guessing. 1990. It's old. That's cool, man. Well, good night back. Thank y'all for joining us.
Joining.
Yeah, yeah, buddy. Thank y'all for joining. We enjoyed talking to everybody, and we're gonna see if this is something that catches on. And then I think we'll keep doing it for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Keep doing it for a little bit, and then see if everybody likes it. And
maybe we'll increase the frequency if we get more
yes,
people to join too.
yes. I'm gonna be googling and finding some. Amy, you don't have to Google movies to watch. We're gonna just look in the next 24 hours. I will text you the next movie in our book club.
Move club.
No, I said book club on purpose. She said it was a book club. So we're gonna watch movies in our book. We're gonna call it a book club, even though we're watching. No, Amy. We will.
She can suggest stuff too.
No, you can write us
Don't
too.
be a dictator.
Did you say don't be a dick?
Yeah, I was gonna say I say dictatorial, but yeah, don't be.
No, you said you were gonna say
dictator.
don't be a dictator, but then it always came out don't be a dick to her.
Yeah,
right? That's what you were gonna say. All right, no, I won't be a dick to her. I'll be a dictator. No, we can collaborate on what movies we think are best. So how about this? I will do research on a couple movies, and we'll see if there's one that's just considered the best movie from that country universally. We'll go with it. If there's several, we'll bounce it off you, and we'll see which ones to watch, and we'll start our movie club. All right. And then
yay!
It'll be fun. So we'll figure out the first country. I'll do something in the next 24 hours. All right. Yeah. No. We're just gonna Google it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody. Enjoyed it quite a bit. All right. See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.